After that happened, they went and shot up this nigga family house. They wiped out his whole family. Baby mama, granny. Them niggas is dead. Like, they went and did John's that same day. That nigga peoples is dead behind that. And it's like, most niggas would have been like, I ain't got shit to live for. Shit, y'all killed my people. Big, and if Big U, that's I gotta play devil's advocate.
Black Sam is reportedly under investigation in connection with the deaths of Eric Holder's family members. 4 individuals tied to the man who killed his brother were all dead within 9 months of Nipsey hitting the ground. The reason investigators are focusing on Sam is because someone with strong influence, major resources, and clear motive made sure that everyone connected by blood to Holder faced consequences. His cousins were gone. The very next day, his half-brother was found dead inside his own home. Before the year even ended, his father was also killed, and Sam himself went on camera and said he wished Eric Holder wasn't behind bars. Not because he forgave him, but because being locked up is the only thing keeping Holder alive. This is a story people need to understand. To see where things stand now, you first have to understand who Black Sam really is. The media often presents him as just Nipsey's older brother, the quiet figure standing in the background at vigils, supporting Lauren London while she cried, and giving calm, controlled statements to reporters. But Black Sam is not a regular civilian. Samuel Ashgadam grew up in Crenshaw, the same environment as Nipsey Hussle, in the same neighborhood and under the same conditions. He wasn't only Nipsey's brother by blood, he stood beside him in every aspect of life. Together, they built the Crenshaw brand. Sam handled structure and operations, making sure everything stayed solid, while Nipsey became the public face. As one voice described it, everything Nipsey expressed in his music reflected who he truly was, and those close to him knew every side of his character. More importantly, Black Sam is tied to the Rolling 60s. This isn't speculation or exaggeration. He was raised within that environment, and that detail matters. Everything that followed March 31, 2019 needs to be understood through that perspective, what that group represents, what they're capable of, and what it means when someone at that level of respect is violated.
It's a major loss for our community. So many jobs have been lost since Nipsey's been gone.
When Nipsey passed, the reaction was global. LeBron James shared his respect publicly. Jay-Z sent flowers. Thousands gathered in the streets of Crenshaw. Some churches refused to hold the funeral due to concerns about the crowd. Eventually, it took efforts from LeBron James and Karen Civil to secure Crypto.com Arena, formerly known as Staples Center, so the city could properly say goodbye. That's the level of impact being discussed, and Black Sam witnessed all of it. He saw his younger brother laid to rest. He watched Lauren London grieve. He saw Nipsey's children facing life without their father. He also knew that the person responsible was someone from their own neighborhood, someone familiar, someone connected to the same environment. Do you think he forgot? Do you think he moved forward easily? The reality is, the streets didn't move on. Now, setting the timeline, March 31st, 2019, a Sunday afternoon. Nipsey Hussle arrived at his store, Marathon Clothing, located in South Los Angeles. This was his space, something he built from nothing into a symbol of success. But something important was missing that day, the usual security process. In an August 2024 interview with Big Boy, Black Sam explained this in detail. He stated that every time Nipsey came to the store, there was a consistent system. Sam would stand at the entrance, hoodie on, armed. Another team member would be positioned nearby, also armed. That was standard procedure. However, on that day, no one was at the entrance. The store was full, staff were busy assisting customers, and according to Sam's explanation, attention shifted toward normal business operations. That single gap in protocol became critical. Eric Holder had already been observing the location. Sam described how before the shooting, a man approached the parking lot, shirtless, appearing to scan the area. He noticed that no one was guarding the entrance. He saw Nipsey present, relaxed, and unprotected. After observing, he left, then returned, this time wearing a red shirt. Sam pointed out a key detail. Red clothing is not commonly worn in that area. It can either signal affiliation or be used as a disguise to confuse identification. The individual moved through the alley, approached the location, and began shooting. Nipsey was hit multiple times, while 2 others were injured. Eric Holder then left the scene in a white Chevrolet Cruze, driven by his girlfriend, who reportedly was unaware of what was about to happen. Black Sam was about 6 blocks away when he received the call. He immediately drove to the scene, ignoring traffic signals to get there as fast as possible. When he arrived, Nipsey was still alive, briefly, and then he wasn't. Sam later described the moment as surreal, saying everything he believed in felt shaken. That moment shaped everything that followed. April 1, 2019, just one day after Nipsey's death, 2 men believed to be Eric Holder's cousins were shot and killed in South Central Los Angeles. Less than 24 hours had passed. Authorities stated those individuals were not connected to the murder itself, but the timing raised questions. April 2, Eric Holder was arrested in Bellflower and placed into custody. While he was physically protected behind bars, his family remained outside. Roughly a month later, his half-brother was found dead inside his home. There was little media coverage, but observers began noticing a pattern. These incidents didn't appear random, they seemed directed. By December 2019, Eric Holder's father was also killed. Reports indicated he had no involvement in his son's actions and had even expressed regret publicly. In total, 4 family members, 2 cousins, a half-brother, and a father died within 9 months. No official charges were announced in connection to these deaths, but the question remained, who had the motive, ability, and reach to carry out something like this? Fast forward to August 9, 2024. Eric Holder is serving a long prison sentence, and the case appears closed legally. Then, Black Sam gives a rare interview to Big Boy. In that discussion, he carefully explained the security breakdown, the events leading up to the incident, and his belief that Holder may not have acted alone. He described Holder as uncertain and hesitant, suggesting he may have been influenced by others. Then came the statement that drew major attention. Sam said he wished Eric Holder was not in prison. That statement needs context. He wasn't expressing forgiveness. He was indicating that prison is what keeps Holder safe. The implication was clear. If Holder had remained outside, the outcome could have been very different. This comment, combined with the timeline of deaths, led many people to form their own conclusions. However, it's important to separate confirmed facts from speculation. There has been no official charge filed against Black Sam, no formal accusation, and no public statement from law enforcement naming him. What is being discussed widely comes from social media, blogs, and community-level conversations, suggesting that investigators may be reviewing the situation quietly. Looking at the reasoning people present, first, the speed. The first deaths occurred within 1 day, suggesting planning rather than reaction. Second, the pattern. The incidents happened over time. Cousins, then half-brother, then father, indicating a sequence rather than a single event. Third, Sam's own statements about a possible larger setup behind Nipsey's death. If that belief is true, then the response would not stop at one individual. And fourth, the situation involving Brick Baby. In late 2024, he confirmed a direct disagreement with Black Sam over his continued association with Eric Holder. He acknowledged Sam's emotional position while maintaining his own stance. This showed that the situation is still unresolved emotionally, even years later. At the same time, law enforcement in Los Angeles has historically kept investigations open in cases involving suspected retaliation. Since the deaths connected to Eric Holder's family were never officially solved, those cases remain active. And when there are 4 unsolved murders connected to one of the most high-profile gang-related cases in Los Angeles history, investigators don't simply close the file. So when people ask whether Black Sam is being investigated, a more accurate way to frame it is this: has his name ever come up during these ongoing investigations in a city like Los Angeles in a case of this magnitude? Honestly, it would be more surprising if it never did. At the same time, consider Eric Holder's current situation. He is in state prison serving 60 years to life with no realistic possibility of parole within his lifetime. His attorney made a statement in 2023 that stands out. He explained that once Holder entered state prison, he would become a target. According to him, there is effectively a green light on Holder from gangs that respected Nipsey Hussle, who had widespread support. His lawyer clearly stated that Holder's life in prison would be extremely difficult for as long as he remains there. That statement was not just legal commentary, it reflected an understanding of how these environments operate, suggesting that Holder's safety is far from guaranteed. This is before even considering that 4 members of his family are already dead, and the individual many believe is responsible has publicly expressed that he wished Holder were still accessible outside prison. In this situation, Eric Holder has no real advantage. He cannot appeal his way out, he cannot cooperate his way out, and ironically, the issue that led to Nipsey's death was itself tied to accusations of cooperating. He cannot relocate, and he cannot ensure the safety of himself or his remaining relatives. His decision on March 31, 2019 continues to affect every aspect of his life, and it will likely do so indefinitely.
His father, who submitted an apology letter during the trial, did not live to see the final sentencing. That adds another layer to the weight of this situation. Now, stepping back, this situation is not only about retaliation or violence, it also reflects what happens to those left behind after a tragedy of this scale. Black Sam built something meaningful with his brother. He didn't just lose a family member, he lost a business partner, a creative influence, and a growing cultural movement that had not yet reached its full potential. Since then, he has carried that legacy forward, including the Marathon brand, the clothing store, and related ventures. At the same time, he has had to process significant personal loss. What stands out is how he has handled that grief. He has not engaged in public disputes on social media, nor has he participated in frequent interviews. Instead, he has remained relatively quiet, measured, and composed. His interview with Big Boy in August 2024 was considered rare for that reason. He tends to speak only when necessary, which gives added weight to his words. When Black Sam stated that he believes the murder was premeditated and that Holder may not have acted alone, that was not a casual remark. It reflects a considered perspective. Similarly, when he said he wished Holder were not in prison, that was a deliberate statement indicating his position. That comment, in many ways, is why discussions around this investigation continue. When someone with Sam's background, influence, and connections experiences a situation where multiple individuals connected to his brother's killer end up dead, and then publicly states that he wishes that person were still accessible, it naturally raises questions. Is Black Sam simply a grieving brother maintaining loyalty to his circle? Or could he be something more? Someone involved in a broader response that affected multiple individuals connected to one family. The reality is that in environments like this, those possibilities are not necessarily separate.
At this point, the situation is still unresolved. Eric Holder remains a target within the prison system. 4 of his family members have died under circumstances where no one has been formally charged. Black Sam is reportedly on the radar of law enforcement, not because of confirmed charges, but because in a case of this scale, with multiple unresolved elements, investigators would logically examine anyone with both motive and capability. The individual with perhaps the strongest motive in this case has now spoken publicly years later, expressing views that suggest he understands how events unfolded. The marathon continues has always been the message, and in many ways it does. The businesses remain active, the family continues to move forward, and the music still resonates. However, beneath all of that, there are ongoing investigations, unanswered questions, and individuals who may know more than they have publicly shared. Nipsey Hussle once said that having strong enemies can be a sign of impact. He understood that building something meaningful can also attract opposition. He ultimately paid that price with his life. What often receives less attention is the ongoing impact on those closest to him. Black Sam continues to carry that burden daily while maintaining the legacy they built together. Regardless of speculation about what may or may not have happened, his background, environment, and loyalty to his brother define the way he operates. At the center of all this is a decision made on March 31, 2019, a decision that created consequences extending far beyond that location in Hyde Park. The reality is that actions in these environments often lead to lasting consequences. What remains now are the questions. Do you believe Black Sam had any role in what happened to Eric Holder's family? And does any of this change how you view Nipsey Hussle's legacy? There is still more to uncover, especially considering claims that Eric Holder may not have acted alone. Further details may continue to reshape how this entire situation is understood.